This is the We Sell Restaurant Show with Eric and Robin Gagnon. Remember, you can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com. Please take a moment and like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/We Sell Restaurants. Follow us on Twitter at Sell Restaurants. And of course, we're on LinkedIn as well. We Sell Restaurants, your industry authority and source for information. We are the restaurant brokers, and Eric and Robin Gagnon, joined with Steve Caldeira from the International Franchise Association and Dave McDougall from the Southeast Franchise Forum.
We've been talking about franchise associations, and in particular for someone starting out in the industry, I would say this is absolutely your best and first resource for really beginning to understand the business. So I'd like to throw this to Steve first, because I actually know the answer, because we were brand new franchisors trying to get our arms around this industry a couple of years ago. We attended our first franchise association conference. How is it that you onboard these new franchisors so they begin to get themselves immersed in the industry?
Well, again, we conduct around the country, Robin, emerging franchisor development seminars and conferences. We offer many tracks and programs and communicate them and market them to these emerging and smaller franchisors to try to get them to come to convention. Again, I mentioned we also have, the expos that we do around the country, where it's not just a networking opportunity or an opportunity to grow your business. We also actually do some sessions there that offer more education. So, we're out there in different venues doing the best we can to support those emerging franchisors. But I'll tell you, one of the things that needs to be called out here is, as some of these smaller businesses and their franchisees in particular, this healthcare law, especially for the franchisee, it's making them think twice about whether they want to get over that 50 full-time equivalent employee threshold. So, because either they're going to be forced to pay the penalty, or they'll have to put them in the exchange, or one way or another, or offer them the more affordable health care, higher premium health insurance. So for a lot of folks, it's really sort of putting a dampener, especially at the franchisee level, and that doesn't ultimately help franchisors who want to continue to open units. So that's just an underlying, unintended consequence of this law that we're dealing with. So I think it's important to point that out.
I think that's critical too, and I'll tell you that so many times as you're starting out, you've got your nose to the grindstone and you sort of put on a set of blinders. So what I see as one of the key benefits of these types of associations is it opens up your thinking, and you actually, if you are worried about what's going on in the kitchen, you've got somebody looking over your shoulder who's worried about what's going on in the steakhouse that can affect you dramatically. And I think that's a key benefit of these organizations.
I couldn't agree more.
Dave, you've got a great background, over 30 years in the business, and we just talk about new franchisors. What would be a great piece of advice you could share with us to anybody that's listening to the show right now that's thinking about getting into the franchise business, whether they're seasoned and they want to get into the franchising, or somebody that's just got a concept and think, hey, I want to franchise this? What would be a great piece of advice for them?
Well, I get involved. I mean, don't feel like you have to do things totally by yourself. There's these great associations, the IFA, Southeast Franchise, there's chambers, whatever it is, get involved. And I say that on a couple fronts. And there's kind of a cliche, working in your business versus working on your business. But from the standpoint of networking, learning best practices, being educated on what things are going on that eventually will impact you in your business, I think that's really important. And these types of associations and organizations really do that. And I coach this with franchisees a lot in that they're working very hard every day, focused on cash flow, focused on taking care of their customers. At the same time, there's things happening around them that they may or may not even be aware of. And this way they can at least weigh in on that. They are better educated. And in some cases may want to take a stand and say, listen, I want to get very actively involved because I want to try to influence the direction of this particular legislation or regulation, things that are going to have an impact on my business.
I would
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that I do think it's very important that folks not stand on the sidelines. If you're going to pay the dues and be a part of an organization, take full advantage of everything that's offered to you and really plug in. I think that's sort of what you're saying as well.
Exactly, Robin. And in today's day and age, I mean, there isn't, we've looked at P&Ls, there isn't a cost line that's not typically going up. And at the same time, it's how can you influence that? How can you mitigate that? And it does require some level of time and involvement. And that's what I encourage franchise owners to do.
I would just say from a personal perspective, our first franchise conference, the one thing that I was the most shocked about, and you actually referenced this earlier, Dave, and Steve, I don't know how you've created this culture, but within the IFA, there really is such a culture of giving and sharing of knowledge. Folks don't act as though they are competitors. They really align to help the smaller guys and everyone across the board.
You're absolutely correct, and it's very unique. One of the great things about franchising, and it could be even peers that are in your segment that share information and best practices. It's a really unique, to David's earlier point, very unique industry, one that continues to grow and thrive. You look at the people that in our industry, the small business owners, they got the entrepreneurial streak. They're willing to work hard. They're willing to take a risk, put their own skin in the game, take out a loan. These folks create, with other industries, 2/3 of all net new jobs in America, small businesses. And the franchisors, we've got great, iconic, and emerging brands across many multiple industries. So we have a lot of work to continue to do to educate and remind our colleagues on the Hill and around in-state capitals about the economic impact we have, our ability to create jobs. It's a very proven, structured, scalable model. We like to call it formula entrepreneurism, a way to be in business by yourself, be in business for yourself and not by yourself, because you get the support of the franchisor, whether it's marketing and HR and training or leveraging supply chain efficiencies, you name it. The franchisor, at the end of the day, won't make money if their franchisees aren't profitable.
We got that.
They can't support them.
Okay, we're at the end of this segment, and I want to remind everyone that we do have 3 segments each week. Our guests have been providing us with outstanding knowledge on the franchise organizations that service this industry and keep us all moving forward. Stay tuned for the next segment, our Restaurant Reality segment. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon. We are the Restaurant Brokers, and you're listening to We Sell Restaurants.